which we live, we're forcing the authorities to do what they ought to be doing and actually ought to have done long ago.
Mark, thank you very much. That's Mark Watts from XRO News. Don't forget the full podcast of What Happened to Vishal is now available to download from the LBC website and also from iTunes. You can also catch up on the ones you may have missed. 6:57. Let's quickly go back to a couple of your calls on the fact that women are being told that they shouldn't drive by a particular Orthodox Jewish sect, the Bell Siddiq sect in Stamford Hill. Laura is in Barnet. Hello, Laura.
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
I'm Jewish, but I'm not Orthodox. But I'd like to clarify an overview of things. Within the Jewish community, there's various different groupings. There's liberal and reform, which are, the Rabbi Laura would be part of, which are, liberal. They're more modern. Then there's modern Orthodox, which is not what you're talking about with the Bells. They're the ultra-Orthodox. And they are very, very extreme. They don't watch television, go to the cinema, theatre, anything like that. Music, nothing is allowed. The women can't wear trousers. They have to wear long skirts. They have to have their hair covered. And I'm not surprised that this is another thing, because that is what they're like. They're very ultra-Orthodox.
And you don't sound as if you have any sympathy with that way of life.
Well, that wouldn't be for me at all. I'm Jewish and that's it sort of thing. I'm probably more liberal reform. But then the modern Orthodox are not. They wouldn't make anything like that, make any rules like that, because, they've modernised orthodoxy sort of thing. But the very extreme ones is the ultra-Orthodox, which, Bells. I don't know Bells particularly, and the men, where...
OK, we have to leave it there, Laura. Thank you very much indeed for your call. Now, coming up after 7, Tessa Jowell joins me for our weekly Newsmakers Hour on LBC. Each Thursday at 7, Tessa and I will be interviewing some of the week's biggest newsmakers, and you'll have the chance to ask questions too. This week, our newsmakers are a man who a lot of people thought was a shoo-in to be the next leader of the Labour Party. His name, Chuka Umunna. Also joining us a bit later will be Lord Goldsmith, former Attorney General under Tony Blair. He's here because he served as a member of FIFA's governance panel. Your questions on 0345 6060 973. You can watch us also live on lbc.co.uk. It's Newsmakers with me and Tessa Jowell on LBC, and it all starts next.
On FM, online, on your mobile and on digital radio. Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 7 o'clock, FIFA President Sepp Blatter says it's up to him to clean up world football after corruption allegations against 14 officials. But he refused to accept responsibility for the claims, saying he cannot monitor everyone all of the time. He plans to stand for election for a 5th term tomorrow, despite growing calls for him to step down.
It must fall to me to bear the responsibility for the reputation and well-being of our organisation, and to find a way forward to fix things.
The head of UEFA says some European countries may boycott the next World Cup if Sepp Blatter stays on. 2 UK-wide rail strikes have been announced for next month after the RMT union rejected a new pay offer from Network Rail. Members are planning to walk out for 24 hours next Thursday and then hold a 48-hour strike the week after. Network Rail says the walkout will cause major disruption. A lawyer for 3 London schoolgirls thought to have joined ISIS in Syria says the trio are no longer together. Tasnimi Akunje has told LBC the teenagers from East London are in good health but are not planning on returning to the UK soon. It's reported a Jewish community in North London have banned women from driving. In a letter sent out last week, Bell's rabbi said that having female drivers goes against the traditional rules of modesty. Rabbi Laura Jana Klausner has told LBC it's shocking.
This is not about religion. This is not Jewish, and this is certainly not from Torah or Talmud. This is about power and trying to restrict women's movement. And it makes me very sad.
A man has been charged with affray, possessing a weapon and assaulting police after anti-austerity protests in central London yesterday. He's been bailed until next month, along with 2 other men who were also arrested yesterday. Food experts say a potentially deadly bug found in fresh chicken is the biggest food safety issue in the UK. New figures show almost 3/4 of shop-bought chickens tested positive for Campylobacter. Kevin Hargin from the Food Standards Authority says producers need to do more.
We do feel that the consumer shouldn't be burdened with these sorts of risks, and that the industry should be producing chickens that have much lower levels of Campylobacter.
A heron has managed to sneak into 10 Downing Street this afternoon. The bird was photographed seeking refuge from a crow when it flew on top of the front door to the Prime Minister's official residence. LBC weather dry with clear spells this evening for London and the southeast, lows of 11 degrees. Some blustery showers across Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Staying dry over eastern areas and the Midlands tonight. Tomorrow, a wet start but looking brighter and sunnier by the afternoon with highs of 15 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Ros Anwyn.
This is Mark Rise in the LBC Travel Centre. The M25 is extremely busy this evening, but better news heading into the Dartford crossing. The road has now been cleared after the recovery of the broken down lorry. It will take some time for those queues to clear anti-clockwise though. Clockwise has severe delays between 9 and 16, Leatherhead and the M40, and anti-clockwise is crawling between 16, the M40, and junction 12, the M3. A2's queuing both ways into the M25, but out of town really busy from the Bean interchange to Gravesend after an accident. M40 London bound is busy junction 4 to 2, High Wycombe to Beaconsfield services after an earlier accident, and the A4 is slow heading out of town between Warwick Road in Earls Court and the Hammersmith flyover because of an accident. The A13's queuing away from town between the Canning Town flyover and Movers Lane in Barking after a van broke down, and Oxley Lane in South Oxley is closed in both directions between Carpenters Avenue and Little Oxley Lane because of an ongoing accident there. In the city, Lower Thames Street is crawling in both directions towards the roadworks near London Bridge with eastbound queues from Blackfriars Bridge. Keeping London moving, your next travel updates in 15 minutes.
LBC Travel.
With Citrix Go-To Meeting, bringing your clients closer to your business.
This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation with Ian Dale at Drive. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850. Ian Dale at Drive on LBC.
Hello, very good evening. I'm Ian Dale at Drive. Good to have you with us. Every Thursday at 7, Tessa Jowell will be joining me to interview one or two of the big newsmakers of the week, and she's here with me right now. You can watch us, by the way, at lbc.co.uk. She's there, I'm here. We're ready to talk to our first guest, but it's not all about Tessa and me. We want your calls too. 0345 6060 973 is the number. Joining us over the next hour are the one-time Labour leadership contender Chuka Umunna and a member of FIFA's governance panel, Lord Goldsmith. Quite a lot to talk to them about, as you can imagine. So, without further ado, let's say a very good evening to my partner in crime, Dame Tessa Jowell.
Ian, thank you very much. Now, as you said, in half an hour we'll be talking to Lord Peter Goldsmith. He and I served together in Tony Blair's cabinet when he was Attorney General. But he's here today because he served on FIFA's independent governance committee, which was a group set up by FIFA in 2011 to look at ways of reforming the World Football's governing body after a series of corruption scandals. Well,
that went well.
No, that went well. Not much seems to have changed, does it? And we can just see clips around the place of Sepp Blatter arriving at this Congress, and I think everyone gets very impatient with the fact that periodically these allegations erupt in relation to FIFA. Stern action is promised. The sponsors chime in, but then nothing changes. Well, so let's find out more from Peter
That'll be from half
Goldsmith.
past, of course.
That's after 7:30. But our first guest is a great friend of mine, Chuka Umunna, elected in 2010, appointed almost immediately to the shadow cabinet via being Ed Miliband's PPS. Chuka has always been seen as an MP with a Labour MP with that particular kind of stardust. And so it was surprising to everybody when, having announced his candidacy for the Labour leadership, he then decided to bow out.
Well, let's find out why.
Good
Chuka,
evening.
welcome.
It's good to be back.
Why did you initially think you were the man to lead the Labour Party?
Because I felt we needed fundamental change. The party does best when it marries compassion with aspiration. I thought we had lost a sense of that, and I felt I was able to rebuild for victory in 2020 and prepared to, if you like, challenge our party a bit and move out of our comfort zone. But I think, look, whenever you contemplate doing things, you will think about the implications for your life and your family, and intellectually you can understand that. I saw it at close quarters with Ed Miliband's leadership campaign in 2010. But until you are actually going through that experience yourself, it's very hard to gauge how it will sit with you. And what I found very difficult was that almost immediately after our defeat became very clear on election night, I was subject to a level of media attention and pressure that I'd never experienced before. And actually speaking to other of the candidates who are still in the contest, they were not experiencing quite the same level of attention that I was. But I think the thing that shocked me most was the attention that was given to my girlfriend's family and my own family. And I just found that very hard to stomach.
You see, sorry, Tessa, one second. A lot of us that have been around politics for a long time find this hard to believe, that you can have been so surprised by this level of attention. It goes with the job.
It does go with the job.
But why and after only 3 days, did you then decide, well, I've had enough?
It was in particular the impact on my loved ones. I've chosen to be in public life, so in some senses I wasn't that surprised that I got doorstepped myself and was followed around by cameras. But I think what took me by surprise was the impact and the immediacy of the impact on those close to me. I thought, look, if I won the contest and actually became leader and potentially Prime Minister, then I, necessarily probably those close to me would have that level of interest. I didn't bargain on it happening immediately. And just to give an example, I appeared on a BBC television programme on the Sunday after our election defeat, and 2.5 hours after doing so, a reporter and a photographer turned up at my girlfriend's family's house in the middle of
you took your girlfriend to that interview. You didn't have to do that.
No, but we've appeared in public before. We've been at public events before, the BAFTA's red carpet, for example, and it hasn't attracted the attention that it has, that her appearing with me before that programme did. But then it was subsequently, subsequent to that, again, her parents were doorstepped by a photographer and reporter from another newspaper. And it was really on the Wednesday after I had, said I would put myself forward, when I took a step back and thought, you haven't enjoyed this at all. Look at the impact that it is having on those close to you, and you're not even through week 1 yet. Do you really want to go through this for another 3 to 4 months? And it was at that point that I thought, it's just, my heart's not in this, and I owe it to myself to be honest about that. I owe it to the party to be honest about that, and I owe it ultimately to the country whose support we want to win, to be honest about that.
Some people will say that shows a weakness of character. Others will say it shows a degree of flakiness.
I would just say, look, I'm human, and I've chosen to put my loved ones and my family first. And I make no apologies for that at all. And actually, once I'd made the decision on the Wednesday morning, on the evening before I actually announced my withdrawal from the contest, my mother returned home late at night from work around 10 o'clock to find a journalist from another tabloid newspaper on her doorstep. And that just simply confirmed to me that it was the right decision. And I've often said before the defeat that I can live without being the leader of the Labour Party or the Prime Minister of our country. I never thought I was going to become an MP when I was growing up. There were very few people who looked like me in the House of Commons. And it is a tremendous privilege to just be a Member of Parliament for the area that I grew up in and love. I never expected to be in the shadow cabinet after a year. And once I had determined to go into politics, to be frank, the main ambition I had was to be a cabinet minister in a Labour government, because that's how you can really effect change. But when there was talk of future leadership, through the middle of the last Parliament, I have to say I was quite surprised, given I had only been in Parliament.
Did it go to your head? Because a lot of people think that you quite enjoyed the attention and that you were being described as the British Barack Obama and all the rest of it. Maybe you've come to the realisation now that you enjoyed it a little bit too much.
I think there is always a danger in believing some of the hype that one generates, and that is why I've always been very careful, actually, in terms of my social life and my personal life. I've always kept the two very separate, because I think it is people outside of politics in particular, and none of my close friends operate in the Westminster bubble. My girlfriend doesn't work in the Westminster bubble, and actually they're the people who really anchor you and ground you and take the mickey out of you when you're getting a bit above yourself.
But Chuka, I've sort of been closely involved with a lot of, actually ministers, when they've got caught up in something, and it's absolutely clear that they're going to have to resign. And so often, what happened? In some cases, they could get through it. But what happens is it's a kind of psychological thing. You just think, I've got to shut this down. I cannot bear this any longer. And, when you talk about your experience over that 36 hours, that's kind of what hit you, wasn't it? I just cannot bear this any longer.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. And one of the things I always knew, because of the day that I announced I was withdrawing from the contest on the Friday, that everyone would be like, oh my God, there's some skeleton in the closet, there's some misdemeanor, whatever. There was no scandal. I have absolutely nothing to hide. You don't put yourself forward for the leadership of a party if you do. And I had this garbage kind of printed about me that I was a member of some private members club called the M Den, which gave me a pass and a locker where I kept cognac in. So I was kind of like, what? Where are these people from this?
You're not a member of it, then?
No, I'm not. Not at all.
And, there's been all sorts of sort of scurrilous gossip about you. You are well aware of the rumours that go around about you. And you can scotch all of those rumours now.
Yeah, there's no truth to them at all. And... but as I said, to be honest, it wasn't all the rumours and what have you. It was really the impact that it was having on the people close to me. And, too often in my life, I've actually put the job first. And I thought, in my heart of hearts, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't put my loved ones first. And, yes, people might say you're flaky, you're indecisive, etc. But ultimately... I'm happy to withstand any criticism if it means that I'll protect and the people close to me.
Just before we go to the travel, do you feel you've let a lot of people down?
I feel a bit that I've let quite a few people down. Look, I'm not saying there was, the armies of people out in the country.
Have people rung you up and said, look, Chuka, you really have let us down?
I haven't had that, actually. The reaction of the public has been remarkable. Very rarely have I walked down the street for some time or got on public transport recently where somebody hasn't come up to me and said, look, I'm really disappointed you didn't stand. I might, and in fact, I'm not even a Labour supporter, but I definitely, you would have made me consider voting for your party. But hey, I totally and utterly respect the decision you made and the reasons that you decided.
There'll be a lot of people who are maybe from ethnic minorities who may well feel that you've let them down because they saw you as somebody who could have got right to the top.
Yeah.
But they will see you as having wimped out.
That has not been what people have said to me in the street. I think people, the mantra that I've got back is, look, man, family first, and you're right, and you've got to put your relationship and your family first. And I think ultimately, having a good understanding of yourself, having a strong family of people around you who you love makes you a better politician. And I think if everything is politics, and it's never been like that in my life, frankly, and it was becoming like that, then actually I think it makes you a lesser politician. And look, I still want to play a big and prominent role in the Labour Party. I think, I'm so proud to be a member of the Labour Party, and I still think although we're down at the moment, we're not out, and we can still do a hell of a lot of good in our country, and I want to be part of that. But right now, I don't want to do it at that level.
We'll take some calls in a minute. Tessa has a lot more questions for you as well. The number to call if you want to talk to Chuka is 0345 6060 973. This is LBC. It's 16 minutes past 7.
This is Adam Moore in the LBC Travel Centre. Good evening. With the M25 still very slow anti-clockwise after a lorry broke down earlier, blocking 3 lanes near the Dartford Tunnel. It's gone now. All lanes are open. Big queues, though, back past Junction 4 at Orpington. Well over an hour's worth of delays. Clockwise still very slow as well from the A3 at Junction 10 round to the M4 at Junction 15. If you're heading out of town on the A4, really slow from Earls Court Road. That was caused by an accident involving 3 cars on the flyover. It looks as though what the third car that was waiting to be recovered has now been moved, but there's still some queues back to Earls Court Road. If you're heading into town on the A4, on social media reports of a car broken down just by the Porsche dealership in Chiswick, just as you head off the M4 elevated section onto the A4. That's why there's such a big queue back along the elevated section of the M4. And in Walthamstow, Hoe Street is blocked after an accident near the junction with Churchill, with queues back to the Bell. Keeping London moving. Your next update is in 15 minutes.
LBC Travel.
With Citrix Go-To Meeting for when the trains don't run on time or at all.
Yes, 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 yes. At Wheels for Sure, we love saying yes. Yes to those with a poor credit score. Yes to those with no credit score. If you have a regular income and valid UK driving licence with 6 points or less, you could lease a car with Wheels for Sure. At Wheels for Sure, your job is your credit. So if you need a car for personal or business use, or are a PCO private hire driver, see Wheels, 4, sure.com. Conditions apply.
If you run a business and you're near a computer, type the name of your company into Google now. Chances are everything you find will be good. But all it takes is one negative review and your reputation on any kind of digital and social media site can change just like that. Reputation.com can manage and improve your brand's image online to make sure potential customers find out about the good reputation you've worked so hard to build up. For a free report on your online reputation and to find out how we can help, visit Reputation.com.
Everyone will have a reason for doing Shine, Cancer Research UK's nighttime walking marathon on Saturday the 26th of September. Me? I'm doing it to celebrate my amazing mum getting the cancer all clear. So I want to shout it to everyone from the rooftops. Stuff sleeves! Sign up now at shinewalk.org. Event rules and entry fee apply.
At Homebase, there's an extra 20% off all Sovereign lawnmowers and garden power tools, and an extra 20% off all Weber barbecues and accessories, on top of existing offers. Homebase.
Your roof protects your home from the elements all year round, so protecting it is vital. Trust Element Roofing. For full replacement of all pitched and flat roofs, we have the expertise you need, all backed up by the National Federation of Roofing Contractors and Trustmark for total peace of mind. Visit elementroofing.co.uk today for your free quote and to qualify for a discount. elementroofing.co.uk. Element Roofing. Protection from the elements. elementroofing.co.uk.
SSE Southern Electric has been helping to keep the lights on and homes warm across southern England for many years. We're now keeping them connected too, by offering 2 years free unlimited broadband with any phone package, including line rental from £12 per month. To switch your phone and broadband, or to find out more, call 0800 655 000 or visit southern-electric.co.uk. We are SSE Southern Electric, and we're proud to make a difference.
Offer is for SSE Everyday Broadband. 2 years free, your phone package kept throughout. Minimum contract term applies. Offer ends 16th of September 2015. Full T's and C's southern-electric.co.uk/free broadband.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
It is effectively the end of the public role of Tony Blair.
He achieved some progress in specific economic sectors, for example, mobile phone access.
Not a lot, really, respectfully, for 8 years' work, is it? Mobile phone access and the other things. Sounds like a Vodafone salesman. And European football chiefs, meanwhile, moving to unseat Sepp Blatter, the president, after the sports governing body was engulfed by the biggest corruption scandal in its history. The Sun newspaper today, the paper's deputy head of sport, Martin Lipton.
I would never put any money against that Blatter surviving, because he is a great survivor.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Every weekday morning from 7 on LBC.
With Hampton by Hilton, with over 2,000 hotels worldwide.
21 minutes past 7. You're listening to Ian Dale at Drive. It's our Newsmakers Hour. Tessa Jowell is here with me. We're quizzing Chuka Umunna. At 7:30, we'll be talking to former Attorney General Lord Goldsmith. He was on the FIFA's independent governance panel, so I'm sure he'll have some interesting views about Sepp Blatter. You can watch us at lbc.co.uk. You can give us a call, 0345 6060 973. Linda has texted to say, I thought Chuka was too young anyway. My favourite candidate is Andy Burnham. And that's an interesting point, Tessa, that two of the candidates in this leadership election are from the 2010 intake. Shouldn't people hang around a bit longer before declaring for a leadership?
I think it is a good thing to have a fair few years of experience of Parliament, learning how to lead, learning how to kind of build the kind of alliances in order to get the policies that you want accepted. Always, being clear that you've got to maintain your constituency roots and your groundedness there with the demands of Parliament. And I think, I don't want to put words in Chuka's mouth, but I think Chuka just realised that, among everything else, that also, he had more years to serve. And another time it would be different. We haven't asked him if he's ruled it out forever. Have you ruled it out forever, Chuka?
I haven't ruled it out forever, but it's not the right thing for me right now. But I think there is a lot in what Tessa has said. I mean, I was promoted quite quickly, and
quickly?
I'm not sure I'd say that. Partly because I think generally people, the general view is that I've done a very good job.
Even though you say so yourself.
Yes, you have. But Chuka, can I just...
As a shadow business secretary.
Doesn't that answer the problem? And that's why people think that you've got a bit too ahead of yourself.
Now,
well, hang on, I was going to qualify that. I said that the consensus has been, I think, generally, that I haven't done a bad job in the role. I think a lot of people, when I initially was appointed as a shadow business secretary after just a year in Parliament, that I would fall flat on my face, and that didn't happen. Have I got everything right? No.
Well, Chuka, I'm going to interrupt you, because Brandon is in Romford and he wants to ask you a question.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Hello. Hi. Hi, all of you.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
Thank you for calling.
Hi. Thank you.
Chuka's here ready to talk to you.
Yes. I voted Labour in my first election, just gone. I'm mixed race, half South American, half English. When I saw that Chuka was running for the leadership, I can't tell you how happy I was, having been a fan for so long anyway. So to see you, Chuka, withdraw was a bit of a letdown, but obviously, understandably, I can see why.
I'm sorry, man.
My main, no worries.
Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it really meant a lot to see. But my question is, why are you now backing Liz Kendall? What about Liz Kendall, to you, makes her worthy of the leadership?
I think the Labour Party needs to get out of its comfort zone, and we've got to look to solutions which enable us to build a fairer and freer society for 2020 and 2015 and 2020. And a lot of the old ways in which we looked at doing this, generous social security payments, the tax system and other mechanisms, although I think they're still relevant, they are simply inadequate when we look at the real challenges that we've got as a country, which is how do we harness all the technology? I mean, we're sitting in the most extraordinary studio here with the most extraordinary technology in it.
And the most extraordinary presenters.
And extraordinary presenters.
Speak for yourself.
But this technology is destroying jobs that people have done for many generations.
Jobs for us.
And it creates jobs too. So the question is, how can we harness all this technology to create more opportunities for people? That's the first thing. Secondly, how do we continue to provide good, decent public services as a party that believes in government empowering people when we have not that much money around? And how do we pay our way in the world? Now, those are three really big challenges where the old solutions won't chart a course to sorting out the problem.
Why has Liz Kendall got the answer to those questions?
Well, first of all, she's actually had the guts to pose those questions and to deal with the fact, for example, that we won't necessarily have that much money around, and to look at the new world we're living in. She doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but she's charting a course to them. And the other big issue for me as well is...
Should she have affirmed the 2% of public spending on defence?
Yes, I do believe she should have done that.
Would you have done that?
Yes, I would have done that, because I think that increasingly, if you look at the things that impact on people's everyday lives, they are much more international than ever before. If you look at the economy, for example, Brandon, what's the biggest thing to impact on people's wallets over the last 2 or 3 months? It's the fall in the oil price to $58 a barrel. We cannot pretend that we live in isolation from this global world, and we do have responsibilities. I think we have tremendous soft power that we use intelligently and effectively to keep our people here more secure, to build a better world, but also to ensure we're generating more jobs.
Was Liz, I just want to press you on this, was Liz right to say that Labour overspent?
I think if you look at what she said specifically on this, clearly we shouldn't have been running a historically unremarkable and small deficit before the crash, and we should have said that. But did overspending...
Ian? I've asked you that question before, not in this studio.
This is a big moment coming up, Ian.
This is a big moment, because I remember you saying to me on several occasions, no, we didn't. We shouldn't say that we spent too much. I'm not going to apologise for all the hospitals and schools and all the rest of it.
You cut me just before I finished my sentence, which is, although we shouldn't have been running the deficit, did profligacy and overspending on the part of the Labour government cause a global financial crisis? It absolutely did not. And if our spending did, then why did George Osborne sign up to exactly the same spending plans as us before the crash?
Fair point.
It is a fair point, but isn't Liz Kendall just a Tony Blair tribute act? And that's what you were accused of being as well.
No, I don't think so, for a number of reasons. One, part of Liz's agenda, I mean, Liz is making many of the arguments that I was beginning to make and that I would have made, but we've got to give power away and decentralise power. We hoard far too much of it here in Westminster, in London. We need to give it out to our cities, communities, counties and regions. That was not a big part of the Blair prospectus in 97. That's one thing. Gone. Apart from regional development agencies.
We're nearly up to time, but I wanted to ask you just a second question. You're clear you're endorsing Liz as leader. Who are you going to back as deputy leader?
The Member of Parliament for Bethnal Green and Bow, Rushanara Ali. She joined Parliament like me in 2010, and there are 3 reasons why I'm backing Rushanara. First of all, we've got to get a new generation of people involved in politics. And I think she has illustrated through her out-of-Parliament experience. She founded Uprising, the youth leadership programme, which actually, in the last election we've just had, registered thousands of young people to vote. She's illustrated that she can do that. Secondly, she's shown that she can win in tough electoral circumstances. Tower Hamlets politics, as I think people know, is not straightforward. And thirdly, she's got a different background and brings some diversity to the race. We cannot go into a leadership and deputy leadership election races in 2015 without anybody of colour on either of the ballots.
And she's an excellent woman. Chuka, we've got time for one more question. Claire...
by the way, just on that point, it's worth reflecting that it was around 1 million black and minority ethnic votes that helped David Cameron into number 10. Labour got around 52% of that vote. The Tories, who have really increased their support in those different communities, have got around 33% of the support. And if we give the impression that we take our different diverse communities for granted and their support for granted, then we will be punished.
You are absolutely right. Just time for Claire in the West End. Claire, your question to Chuka.
Yeah, good afternoon. Disappointed that Chuka is not going to run, because I come from a similar background. But, we do need black people with balls, and if he's going to cop out, then he cops out. But what I'd like to ask is, what are you going to do about affordable rents in London? I mean, we've got people coming to the clinic now who, by the time they've paid their fares, they've paid bedroom tax, food and all the rest of it. They're actually suffering early signs of malnutrition. We need affordable fares.
Well, I agree we need affordable fares, and I think you started off also by talking about housing. And I found actually during the general election one of the most popular policies that we had was capping the increase in people's rent after it's been set for people in the private rented sector, banning landlords charging these ridiculous prices, these ridiculous lettings agents' fees, to create a better regulated private rental market so people aren't being screwed and ripped off. And, you know, we really need to see the government do something about that. I have great concerns about their proposals.
Just finally, to put Tessa's mind at rest, you're not going to stand for London Mayor.
I'm not standing for London Mayor.
That would be the end of a nice friendship, wouldn't it?
Don't you worry, I'm not standing for London Mayor.
Chuka, thank you very much indeed for joining Tessa and me in our Newsmakers.
Thanks for having me on. Pleasure.
In just a moment, we'll be talking to Lord Goldsmith about what's been going on in Zurich and FIFA today. I'm Ian Dale at Drive. You're listening to the Newsmakers Hour with me and Tessa Jowell. It's 7:31. News headlines with Ros Unwin.
Chuka Umunna's admitted on LBC he let people down when he pulled out of the Labour leadership contest. The shadow business secretaries told Ian and Tessa he chose to put his family before his political career.
I'm human and I've chosen to put my loved ones and my family first. And I make no apologies for that at all.
Mr Umunna says he wasn't trying to hide any scandals or skeletons in his closet by withdrawing. Sepp Blatter's still planning to stand in tomorrow's FIFA presidential election. He's refused to accept responsibility for allegations of major corruption within the organisation. The FIFA president says he cannot monitor everyone all of the time. The lawyer for 3 London schoolgirls who are believed to have joined ISIS in Syria has told LBC he doesn't think they'll come home soon. Tasnime Akunje says the teenagers have contacted their families in the past few weeks via text message. The business news, Network Rail says plans by a union to carry out 2 strikes next month across the UK are unacceptable. RMT members have called the action after rejecting a new pay offer. The first walkout is planned for next Thursday. A rise in imports is being blamed for poorer than expected growth in the UK at the start of the year. Analysts expected the original estimate of 0.3% for the first 3 months of the year to be revised up. Greece now says it's aiming to reach an agreement with its lenders to release more funding to the country by the end of the week. There have been several delays to achieving the deal as Athens tries to avoid going bankrupt. In the city, the FTSE's closed up 7 points at 70.40, and LBC weather dry with clear spells tonight for London and the southeast, lows of 7 degrees. Some blustery showers across Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Dry, though, over eastern England and the Midlands. Tomorrow, wet to start but bright by the afternoon and highs of 15 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Ros Unwin.
This is Adam Moore in the LBC Travel Centre. M25, first of all, anti-clockwise, very slow from Orpington Junction, 4 rounds of the Dartford Tunnel. After a breakdown just before the tunnel earlier, delays there of close to an hour. Clockwise, the M25, you're queuing 24 to 25. That's Potters Bar to the A10. Just spotted a car which I think has broken down, partly blocking the inside lane between Potters Bar and Enfield. At the moment, I can't see anyone else coming through that clockwise side, so the queues are building back towards Potters Bar. A4, better news out of town at the Hammersmith flyover. All lanes open after an accident earlier. Queues starting to reduce as well. Not the case in Leighton. Very slow on the A12 leaving town. That's queuing after an accident blocking the inside lane just after the Lee interchange. Walthamstow, you're queuing on Hoe Street. That's still shut after an accident near Churchill. Big queues there back towards Forest Road and the Bell. That's just near to Walthamstow Central Station. Keeping London moving. Your next update is in 15 minutes.
LBC Travel. With Citrix Go-To Meeting. Conduct meetings face-to-face when you're out and about.
You can hear what I have to say on LBC. Now you can read it too. I'm Steve Allen. Make sure you pick up the new series of books from LBC's presenters. In mine, I'll take you on an insightful tour of the underbelly of the celebrity world. This is your essential guide to one of the most bonkers aspects of modern Britain. So you want to be a celebrity? The new LBC book from me, Steve Allen.
Pick up your copy now from Foyles Bookshops or at foyles.co.uk for the special price of just $6.99. For more details, go to lbc.co.uk. Ian Dale at Drive on LBC.
25 to 8, you're listening to LBC. I'm Ian Dale at Drive. It's the Newsmakers Hour. Tessa Jowell is here with me. The whole point of this hour is we get a Newsmaker of the Week into the studio to ask them some questions on what's going on in their particular sphere of interest. You can, of course, also watch us at lbc.co.uk. I'm looking straight into the camera right now. 0345 6060 973. We want your questions too. Now, joining us for the rest of the programme is Lord Goldsmith. Now, you might think, what's Lord Goldsmith been doing in the news this week? Well, the reason he's here, he'll be relieved to hear, is because he was on FIFA's independent governance panel from 2011 to 2013. So he's hopefully going to give us some really good insight into the inner workings of FIFA and why it's all fallen apart at the moment. Very warm welcome to you, Peter.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but the traffic's terrible. But Tessa, I know, is going to sort all that out.
So she says. Now, were you surprised at the arrests that were made on Wednesday?
I wasn't really surprised that this happened, though perhaps the timing was interesting. I mean, we said when we were on this committee that FIFA really had to change its ways. It had to do a number of things that we recommended. It did some of them, but not all of them. And we said that unless they really changed their attitude, then they would find that someone would come in from outside to do the regulation for them. And that's exactly what's happened. I said it could be the Swiss authorities, could be the US. It's both of them. And they're coming in to do what FIFA should have done itself.
What did you recommend that they didn't do?
We said they should have independent members on their executive committee.
And they didn't do that?
They didn't do that. We recommended that they should have term limits so that people could not stand for the fifth time to be president. We recommended that
even North Korea's had 3 presidents in the time that Sepp Blatter's
and what reaction did Sepp Blatter have to that particular recommendation?
It's very difficult to know what particular attitude he had to it. We know that the executive committee didn't sort of accept. They accepted quite a lot of what we did, but you'll remember the absolute farce. One of our key recommendations was to set up a new investigatory and disciplinary panel. Thought that was very important. We looked at what they'd done about issues in the past. It wasn't good enough. And so they did appoint a senior US prosecutor to be their independent investigator. He then produced a report. It was erroneous, and he walked off. So this big part of our recommendations fell to pieces because the executive committee and FIFA really didn't take the right attitude.
Who do you think is to blame?
I don't know. Blatter always says he's the one person who really wants to reform things. He said that to me. I asked him, what do you want your legacy to be? He's done well on the financial side. He said he wanted to be the man who cleaned up FIFA, but that's a statement that's getting increasingly threadbare.
Do you think he'll still be in his position in a week's time?
I think he will. I think the thing about him, which you've got to understand, is there's a huge amount of money in FIFA. And make a lot of money. And perfectly legitimately, a lot of it is given to very good causes. It's given to countries, developing countries, so they can have football, so they can develop their kids' football skills, because they don't have Premier League and Bundesliga and all that.
And that's his strength, isn't it? Because whatever you say against him, he has led a regime that has effectively brought more professional football to all parts of the globe.
Absolutely right. But of course, the other consequence of it, he has lots and lots of supporters and friends. People, it's patronage, people to whom he's done these things, they're now heroes in their country because of the money that he's been able to provide. And that's not corrupt, but of course the result is he's got a lot of influence. And so, as every country has a single vote, Argentina's vote is the same size as the Solomon Islands. The result of that is that he will get lots of votes.
Of course, what is really turning the screw now is the sponsors going cold. And today we had Visa, Coca-Cola, whole list of FIFA's major sponsors saying they've got to clean up their act and they've got to sort this out. I think they've said that before, haven't they?
They have.
I mean, and this is where you've got almost you've got a conspiracy between the sponsors and FIFA and a number of countries who are the beneficiaries. And the sponsors know that to sponsor the World Cup or to have any kind of relationship with FIFA, gives them access to huge markets. So it's corruption is a strong word, but it's, if you like, it's a kind of double corruption, the interdependence in the relationship. FIFA of the sponsors in relation to
And of course,
FIFA.
if any one of those sponsors decided to bow out in protest, there would be somebody, or if Visa bowed out, presumably MasterCard would then come along, or if McDonald's bowed out, Burger King would then come along.
I don't know if you agree, Peter, they would have to act together, and the likelihood of that is actually pretty small, I think.
Well, as Ian says, there's always another rival, a competitor waiting in the wings. I think that's the
Yeah.
That's the issue. They have said that before. They do have a lot of power, but the money's very big for them too. So
it's all about money in the end. Let's go to Steve in Luton. Hello, Steve. What would you like to say?
Yeah. Oh, just a couple. That's okay. A couple of things actually. First of all, I mean, I personally don't believe there's no smoke without fire. And secondly, I think what with the report from that solicitor last year, I think that strengthens the case. So really, my question is basically, who is the president of FIFA answerable to?
Well, presumably the people that elect him, the 209 member countries?
Yeah, I don't know precisely.
Or member associations?
Yes.
You know, you just hear that he's no intention of resigning, and it just amazes me, like he seems to be in control of that situation, and I was not aware who was in control of him, I suppose, for want of a better word.
Well, I mean, any association, wherever it is, has got sort of member associations. In theory, they're in control. But Tessa, you know a lot about the International Olympics Committee. You had to work with them for a long time. And they went through a similar difficult time to what that FIFA's going through now.
Well,
yeah, they changed, didn't they?
They did. I mean, there was a scandal which erupted back in 1998 in relation to the awarding of Salt Lake City. For the Winter Olympics. Yeah. And the scale of corruption involved substantial payments and gifts and so forth. What happened with the IOC was that Jacques Rogge replaced Samaranch as the president, and he brought in a completely different regime that was so stringent in outlawing gifts, hospitality, anything that looked like excessive generosity, that I remember when the IOC came to London to assess our bid back in 2005, we were not allowed to treat them to more than one meal. We wanted to give them lunch at Downing Street with the then Prime Minister Tony Blair, and then dinner at Buckingham Palace.
So who won, the Queen or Tony?
The Queen.
I should hope so too.
And my God, she did us proud. She was absolutely fabulous. And then also, we thought we would give them extremely nice writing pads, leather writing pads, and they were deemed to be too expensive. So they had rather nasty plastic writing pads instead. So the whole regime changed. But, what used to happen, as I think is the case with FIFA, that people just basically on any kind of official business had then credit cards that were underwritten by the IOC. And, there is something, I think this question about can Sepp Blatter be sacked? How much does he know? How far is he culpable? It's a measure of a kind of organisational disease. The IOC had an organisational disease.
But Peter, isn't the common thread here that if you go look at the IOC, the heads of the IOC, they were there for years and years. Yeah. And the same thing's happened with FIFA. We had Sir Stanley Rouse, João Havelange, and now Sepp Blatter. I mean, in my lifetime, and I'm 52 years old, there's only been 3 heads of FIFA. And that's part of the problem. So your idea of term limits was actually quite a crucial one, and they rejected
that. They rejected that.
Can you remember what reasons they gave?
No, you see what happened. The sort of we put our recommendations forward, and they were presented by our chair, the chair of our committee, to the executive committee, and I didn't have direct contact with the executive committee on those meetings to know quite what the reasons were. So I can't recall. The package went in. They said we accept this, we accept this, we accept that, and a lot of the stuff they accepted was important. But that came out sort of no, we're not going to do it. They said not going to do it now.
And then you were disbanded. So presumably
we were disbanded.
They didn't really sort of like what you did.
Well, they said you've done your job. We said actually we haven't. We don't think we've done our job. We think there's more to do. We thought, for example, that there ought to remain somebody, maybe not quite as big as we were, but some independent outside panel that could be available in exactly the sort of situation we've had this week. What should we do now?
So do you feel that what you saw and reported on was sort of like the tip of an iceberg?
it's very difficult to know that. I mean, we thought we did do a lot, and I think that the thing I'm saddest about is that the system that we put in place to investigate wrongdoing, which we insisted should cover the past as well as the future, that should have an independent judge, as the person who would reach conclusions in relation to that, should have worked.
Let's go back to Stephen Luton. Quick comment from you, Steve, on what you've heard.
Okay, what can I say? I mean, I come to the situation if we can't accuse the president of anything because we don't know. But the situation we've got, we don't know. Why are we even allowing an election to go through tomorrow? Why is the vote still going ahead? We don't know whether he has or he hasn't. We don't know he hasn't. But why is that still going ahead? I mean,
why is it going ahead?
Well, Steve, I think Steve's got a really good point. But it's not anyone else that can decide this other than the Congress and FIFA. And you would have thought that in the circumstances somebody would have said, hey, let's stop, let's think for a bit, because this is really, really serious stuff. At least we need to regroup and decide, is this the right way forward? Blatter goes through like a steamroller.
Well, we'll have more in a moment from Lord Goldsmith. 0345 6060 973 if you'd like to ask him a question about FIFA. This is LBC at 7:47.
This is Adam Moore in the LBC Travel Centre. Now, the problem we've got at the moment is on the clockwise M25. On the cameras, it was a single car involved, which I thought broke down between Potters Bar and Enfield. That's junction 24 to 25. Problem is, they've been blocking the clockwise carriageway for a long time now. Hopefully, this car's going to be removed soon. I can see the Highways Agency are on scene there, but do expect some long queues approaching Potters Bar. Clockwise M25 blocked 24 to 25. Anti-clockwise is still a struggle as well after a lorry broke down at the Dartford Tunnel early this evening. That's gone now, but the queues are still back to junction 4 at Orpington. If you're heading out on the A12, delays approaching the Lee interchange after an accident which is blocking the inside lane along there. Walthamstow, Hoe Street is still shut after an accident. That's closed at the junction with Church Street. Big queues around the area. The queues at the moment back towards Forest Road and the Bell. Keeping London moving, your next update is in 30 minutes.
LBC Travel.
With Citrix Go-To Meeting, bringing your clients closer to your business.
Travel Pack have the right flight at the right price. In fact, we'll price match most worldwide flights if you find one cheaper elsewhere at the time of booking. So, if you need to book a flight, remember the Travel Pack price match. Call Travel Pack on 0208 903 9999. You won't find a better price for your flight. Travel Pack 0208 903 9999. ATOL protected. Excludes low-cost operators. Competitors must be ATOL licensed. Conditions apply.
You've joined us at a very good time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Our savvy software development guys have just qualified for a chunky government cash payout, thanks to our new friends from Breakthrough Funding. Yeah, sorry, that just slipped out.
Government handout?
No, not a handout, but recognition for our clever thinking. Now it'll be down to you to help us kick it further forward.
Leave it to me.
Your company could qualify for Innovation Cash too. Find out online now by answering just 6 qualifying questions at breakthroughfunding.com. Yeah!
Galliard Apartments from £350,000. 5 minutes from Canary Wharf and 2018 Crossrail. Visit harbourcentral.com or call 0203 770 6300.
SSE Southern Electric has been helping to keep the lights on and homes warm across southern England for many years. We're now keeping them connected too, by offering 2 years free unlimited broadband with any phone package, including line rental from £12 per month. To switch your phone and broadband, or to find out more, call 0800 655 000 or visit southern-electric.co.uk. We are SSE Southern Electric and we're proud to make a difference.
Offer is for SSE Everyday Broadband. 2 years free, your phone package kept throughout. Minimum contract time applies. Offer ends 16th of September 2015. Full T's and C's southern-electric.co.uk/free broadband.
Bars, stools, office chairs, shelving, whiteboards, plastic boxes, cleaning trolleys, cantilever racking, lockers and ladders, kick steps, pallet trucks, safes and stackers, archive boxes, office.
AJ Products has over 15,000 products for office, school, warehouse and industry. You will find surprisingly more at ajproducts.co.uk.
When Londoners are choosing their next car to get out and about in, there's one place that has the choice they need.
Car Giant.
Car Giant.
Car Giant.
That's because it's the only place in London with over 8,000 cars in stock.
Car Giant.
Car Giant. So whether it's a car for a weekend getaway, your drive to work, or for seeing your family and friends on the other side of the river...
Car Giant. Car Giant.
Car Giant, of course. Car Giant. It's how London buys its cars. Pick one out at cargiant.co.uk.
Coming up at 8 on LBC, Clive Bull.
Nearly 3/4 of fresh chickens in supermarkets and butchers are contaminated with a potentially lethal food poisoning bug, according to a year-long testing programme by the Food Standards Agency. With big retailers failing to meet industry targets on reducing the risk, do you have faith in the food industry?
Leading Britain's conversation, Clive Bull. This evening from 8 on LBC.
That's Clive Bull from 8, and Ian Collins will be with you from 10. It's 9 minutes to 8 here on LBC. Tessa Jowell is with me. We're interviewing Lord Goldsmith about what's happening in Zurich, what's happening with FIFA and Sepp Blatter. Tessa.
I think we're sort of rather getting the sense that maybe, despite all this, not much will happen, which is incredibly depressing. But Yasin, in Lewisham, you want to ask Peter Goldsmith a question, so go ahead.
Hi. Actually, I've got one more question. I've got two questions. The first one, after the verdict, if those FIFA members find guilty, the World Cup, it's going to be going ahead or will be cancelled for the both countries, Russia and Qatar?
Well, we should point out they haven't actually been charged with anything yet. I'm sure Lord Goldsmith, as a former Attorney General, would want to point that out. They haven't been charged, so there isn't a trial at the moment. But it's an interesting question nonetheless.
Well, I think it's also fair to say, from what I've seen of the US arrests, I mean, the arrests that have taken place have been the US ones, and we know what the indictments say, and those don't deal with the World Cup hosting decisions in Russia and Qatar. But the Swiss Attorney General has opened an investigation yesterday, and he says that he is looking at criminal charges in relation to the decisions to go to Russia in 2018 and to Qatar in 2022.
Of course, that process could take quite a long time, and we are only 3 years away from 2018. It sounds sort of odd, but that's all it is. I mean, I'm sure there are countries that could stage a World Cup at short notice, but can you imagine the diplomatic implications of cancelling the World Cup in Russia?
I think that's right, and I think it is short notice to do that, if you think about the time it would take to get to that.
And Vladimir Putin has said today that the US investigation was a clear attempt to prevent Blatter's re-election. So that just about sounds like a debt being repaid, doesn't it?
Well, talking of debts being repaid, what did we spend? £19 million on our bid for 2018.
It's about that, yes.
If it turns out that there was skullduggery in that campaign, would we have a legal case against FIFA for reclaiming it?
Well, I'm happy to take the case up if they ask me to, but I think it would be
apparently
very difficult
and allegedly, Meher Bose, who's written about this today and who's quite an expert on these matters, says that one of the conditions for England getting more support than the one vote it got was that the FIFA executive would be invited to Prince William and Kate Middleton's wedding.
Really?
See,
I'm almost lost for words.
Yes.
Almost.
Yes.
But I mean, nothing would surprise me in FIFA. It really wouldn't. I mean,
that's alleged, of course.
That doesn't quite cover you, as I'm sure Lord Goldsmith would point out.
Well, I'm not her lawyer. Not at the moment.
Not yet.
When she becomes Mayor of London.
You might be soon. What about boycotts? I mean, I don't know how much of a football fan you are.
I'm a football fan. I mean, not anything special. My team's done rather badly this year, but
which
there we
is?
are. Liverpool should have done better, but there we are. There we are. But no, I mean, I think the fans can boycott, but are they going to do that? And that's the saddest thing about all this, is football's a fantastic game. We all love it. It's a great family game these days as well. It wasn't when I was growing up, it is now. And it's the fans who suffer from it. And they want to see fair play. They want to see fair play on the field. And I think they want to see fair play off the field. That's not what we're saying.
I wasn't really thinking about fans boycotting it. I was thinking about member associations. Sort of, if UEFA decided to sort of pull out of the World Cup, I mean, that would effectively ruin it. or if 6 or 7 of the big countries within UEFA got together and said, well, we're not going to put up with this any longer, we're all pulling out. I mean, it would be a major blow to the World Cup and to Blatter.
It would, and the UEFA said something about this in the past, but would they actually do it?
I think I think it's extremely unlikely. It doesn't have to be done diplomatically. President Obama, David Cameron, Angela Merkel. There needs to be a kind of international coalition because if you simply look at football to regulate football, then actually there are too many vested interests at every level. And, we've spent half an hour talking about this. And at the end of half an hour, it sounds less likely that anything is going to change than perhaps at the beginning. And I keep seeing Seb Blatter's face up on the screen.
Well, I'm sorry if that's putting you off, but I mean, sports politics, 20 years ago, there was always a bit of politics in sport, but I mean, from your time with the Olympic bid, I mean, what was the major surprise to you in your dealings with all of these different sports bodies?
Well, I think, the IOC had been through its cleansing process, and I think that I expected them to be sort of more louche than they were, and I was surprised by the stringency of the rules.
Somebody accused me of being louche this morning.
Did you take that as a compliment?
No, I didn't at all.
Okay. Have we still got Yasin on
No, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Yasin has gone, unfortunately. But Lord Goldsmith, when you were Attorney General and the Olympic bid was happening, I mean, was that something you got involved with at all? Did you have to advise Tessa and her colleagues about what they could do and what they couldn't do?
Yeah, there was a bit of advising. I seem to remember some questions about the royal parks, for example.
Oh, I remember
those
that.
Could be used
Yes,
about. Remember that, Tessa? Yeah, but.
You were a great supporter, though, Peter.
Well, it was a fantastic
at a time
event.
when there were not many allies in this Olympic dream. You were there from the beginning.
Let's just quickly look to the future. Let's assume that Sepp Blatter is re-elected tomorrow, which I think is probable. It's highly likely. And then there are more arrests. I mean, this story is going to continue and continue, isn't it?
It will, but I think also, you'll see the Swiss taking a decision that they've got to change their law, because at the moment it's quite easy for international sporting organisations in Switzerland to get away with a great deal that wouldn't be acceptable anywhere else.
Well, why is that? Because we always think of Switzerland as quite a clean country.
Well, it's clean.
Do we not?
Physically, but it's true. But I think in this respect, they've sort of encouraged international bodies to come to Switzerland, very good international bodies. So they've allowed them to conduct themselves.
Do they bank there?
Do you mean in the sense that do they... Oh, I suppose they do. But I don't think it's Switzerland. I don't think it's Switzerland sort of, we're getting lots of money, so that's all right. I think it's their attitude to encouraging them to come, and it's good for the reputation of Switzerland. You've got the IOC, you've got sports arbitrations take place there. You've got all of that.
That brings us to the end of the show. Lord Goldsmith, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Tessa, we'll be back same time next week. You can watch this all again if you've missed any of it at lbc.co.uk. I think it's almost instantaneous, so it'll be right on the website in a few minutes' time. I'll be back tomorrow from 4. Coming up at 10, it's Ian Collins, but next it's Clive Bull.
Ian, thank you very much. And after the news, nearly 3/4 of fresh chickens in supermarkets and butchers are contaminated with a potentially lethal food poisoning bug, according to the Food Standards Agency. With big retailers failing to meet targets on reducing the risk, do you have faith in the food industry? And later on, the number of sexual offences reported on London's public transport network is soaring, and extra police are to patrol the underground when it launches at night. So how safe do you feel when travelling on public transport? 0345 6060 973 is the number to call. From LBC, I'm Clive Bull, and it all starts next.
On FM, online, on your mobile, and on digital radio. Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.